Chapter 3 continues. Part 1. How the world and mankind were created. With the exception of the story of Prometheus' punishment, told by Aeschylus in the 5th century, I have taken the material in this chapter chiefly from Hesiod, who lived at least 300 years earlier. He is the principal authority for the myths about the beginning of everything. Both the crudity of the story of Cronos and the naivety of the story of Pandora are characteristic of him. First, there was chaos, the vast, immeasurable abyss, outrageous as a sea, dark, wasteful, wild. These words are Milton's, but they express with precision what the Greeks thought lay back of the very first beginning of things, long before the entities appeared in the dim past, uncounted ages ago. There was only the formless confusion of chaos, brooded over by unbroken darkness at last, but how no one ever tried to explain. Two children were born to this shapeless nothing. Night was the child of chaos, and so was Erebus, which is the unfathomable deep where death dwells. In the whole universe there was nothing else. All was black, empty, silent, endless. And then a marvel of marvels came to pass in some mysterious way from this horror of blank, boundless vacancy. The best of all things came into being. A great playwright, the comic poet, Aristophanes, describes its coming in words, often quoted: black, winged night, into the bosom of Erebus, dark and deep. Laid a wind-born egg, and as the seasons rolled forth, spring love, the longed for, shining with wings of gold. From darkness and from death, love was born, and with its birth, order and beauty began to banish blind confusion. Love created light with its companion, radiant day. In some mythologies, even it's like they talk like the Satan being kind of came first or something. I mean, not all of usually it wasn't quite put like that, but they usually a lot of mythologies talk about some later god or coming and doing something. What took place next was the creation of the earth, but this too no one ever tried to explain. It just happened. With the coming of love and light, it seemed natural that the earth also should appear. The poet Hesiod, the first Greek, who tried to explain how things began, wrote, "Earth, the beautiful, rose up, broad-bosomed, she that is the steadfast base of all things, and fair earth first bore the starry heaven equal to herself, to cover her on all sides, and to be a home forever for the blessed gods." Yeah, most of what people consider to be gods are either imagination or it's something that's was created. In all this thought about the past, no distinction had as yet been made between places and persons. Earth was the solid ground, yet vaguely a personality too. Heaven was the blue vault on high, but it acted in some ways as a human being would. To the people who told these stories, all the universe was alive with the same kind of life they knew in themselves. They were individual persons, so they personified everything which had the obvious marks of life, everything which moved and changed, earth in winter and summer, the sky with its shifting stars, the restless sea, and so on. It was only a dim personification, something vague and immense, which, with its motion, brought about change and therefore was alive. But when they told of the coming of love and light, the early storytellers were setting the scene for the appearance of mankind, and they began to personify more precisely. They gave natural forces distinct shapes. They thought of them as the precursors of men, and they defined them far more clearly as individuals than they had earth and heaven. They showed them acting in every way as human beings did, walking, for instance, and eating as earth and heaven obviously did not. These two were set apart. If they were alive, it was, in a way, peculiar to them alone. The first creatures who had the appearance of life were the children of Mother Earth and Father Heaven, Gaia and Uranus. They were monsters, just as we believe that the earth was once inhabited by strange gigantic creatures. So did the Greeks. They did not, however, think of them as huge lizards and mammoths,